Yo, yo, yo! Welcome in, everyone, to another edition of Fourth and Goal. It is your host with the most, Patty Pitts, sitting here in the man cave and sitting in the yard of streams with the girl from the West Coast. I screwed it up. Whatever. It's Sarah Marshall here. I
Hello,
forgot it.
y'all.
She's here, back for another week to not only talk about the games coming up and the weekend slate, but just the insanity that was the NFL news cycle this week. I felt like
Yeah.
every day waking up, you woke up to a just out of the blue story. One that's not really football related, so we're just gonna, stay away from that topic. But one is, and that has to do with Sunday's game. Aaron Rodgers and his debacle, and then the Raiders situation. But let's just go and focus in and start news and notes today with that story because to me it's fascinating, if anything. And I know you have a lot of thoughts about it because we've been texting off air about it. So I'm gonna let you just go because
About Rogers?
I mean, you can do. When you weren't here for the waiver wire. You kind of, I've been talking a lot. I do that from time to time. Here's the floor for you because I know you got some. Well, so Penny, for your thoughts on the matter.
I feel like it's such a weird situation because I think initially you first react and you're like, okay, so the first batch of information, of course, was coming out, and you're getting kind of like mixed reports about it too, where there was mixed reporting of if he was vaccinated or if he wasn't. So it was kind of like, okay, he has COVID, so that was huge, and I was pissed off about that. I'm not gonna lie, from a fan standpoint
Yeah.
and a fantasy standpoint. Obviously, like I don't like Aaron Rodgers, but obviously I don't hope anything bad happens to him. So like
No, of
hopefully he
course
can
not.
recover. I just have to clarify because some people think, there are people out there who wish ill
Yeah.
upon others, and I am not one of those people.
No, 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 I know you're not. We know you're not
Well,
here. Come on.
I have to clarify.
All
Um,
right.
so I was just disappointed because I was looking forward to that game so much because I also don't like the Chiefs. So I was really, really hoping that the Packers were just going to completely obliterate them. And so I was very disappointed to see that he wasn't going to be in that game. I feel like it's like, why did this have to be the week that you miss? Like why couldn't you have missed a game that was like obviously a Packer win? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. No, I get totally.
it's like when Cam was out last year against the Chiefs. Like the Chiefs sucked so bad in that game. They did not deserve to win. We just sucked more. But I believe if
Basically,
Cam played the Chiefs, we would have won. But that's a different story.
that is
Um,
a different story. And the
so
few games that Cam would have actually made a difference in.
yes. So the basis of or it seems like what we've gathered from this is that Aaron Rodgers did attempt to um be marked as vaccinated by claiming home remedies because he's a hippie now, and so is his fiance, who we also found out that she only gets water from mountains like once a month, and she
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it doesn't surprise me. Shailene is always been like a different type of girl, so I wasn't surprised. But I was like, "Oh, Rogers, you're becoming this too." Okay, so he was declined that waiver or whatever you want to call it. So he went into the season as unvaccinated and has continued to act as though he was vaccinated. So my initial issue with that was I'm someone who is at high risk. So I've had to really put my life at a standstill the last year and a half because of this. So it just is, it's kind of frustrating to see someone just like act completely nonchalant, like nothing's happening and not taking it seriously. But then when you look further into it, you see like, oh, so did the Packers know that he was not vaccinated and they just allowed him to um avoid protocols? Did the NFL know? Because that was being said too, that the NFL knew that he was declined the option of being um labeled as vaccinated when he in fact was not. And so I'm like, okay, so how deep does this go? Because if the NFL knew, then how are the Packers then going to get faulted? You know what I mean? Like that
Yeah.
makes no
No,
sense.
absolutely.
And uh Oh, I just lost my train of thought. Oh, I remember now. Other unvaccinated quarterbacks, which we've talked about, Kirk Cousins. He has not been doing like the masks at press conferences and such, which is something that was set in place before the season as a protocol. Same thing with Carson Wentz. And who knows what's going on, like, because I found an article yesterday that listed more of the protocols for unvaccinated players. And it seems like a lot of the unvaccinated quarterbacks or specifically, since they seem to be the ones that have gotten more put under a microscope, they're not following those protocols and nobody's gotten in trouble. Like no one's been like, oh, you violated this, you're getting fined, the way that the
Hmm.
Saints were in the preseason and the Raiders were this past year and last year.
Yeah.
So it's just very on brand for the NFL to not actually enforce rules that they put in place.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm curious to see what happens. I'm going to be irritated, I feel like, with the result because I'm sure nothing's going to happen. And I just know that if it were the Patriots with Tom Brady already would have been suspended and the
Hmm.
Patriots would have been docked like $2 million. And then it was like, what else is going to happen to them? Are they going to be docked first round draft picks?
Yeah. I mean, that's what
And
it would
now
feel like.
yeah, and I feel like nothing's going to happen in this situation. There's going to be somebody saying there was a miscommunication or a lack of understanding. He's been
Yeah.
doing this and that, which is following protocol, blah, blah, blah. And it's simply because it's Aaron Rodgers. That's
Yeah. That's
basically it.
yeah. Yeah. It's the craziest thing to me, just because I can't believe we've got to this point. Or even
Mm-hmm.
it's like if you want, and this is the thing that got me, and this is where I think everyone looks over, is on August 26th he says I'm immunized or whatever that I
But he
really messed up
chose
that
that
word.
word on purpose.
Oh, I
That
mean,
was the
yeah,
thing is people were like, well, it's not his fault that everyone assumed that meant vaccinated. I'm like, no, that's he chose that word because technically he
no,
wasn't lying. It was
yeah,
reported that he went to a doctor that like tried to give him antibodies or something like that so that like he would
yeah,
have a natural immunity to COVID, which makes me think like obviously he believes in home remedies and stuff and to each their own, that's fine, but it makes me wonder if maybe he had COVID because he wasn't attending training camps and mini camps and anything, so which means he would not have been actively tested. So I'm
yeah,
wondering if he maybe had COVID before and that's why he felt like he didn't need to get vaccinated, or like going to a doctor and doing something, I don't know, would like benefit him in some way. um
hmm,
and the thing is too is I think I was talking about this on Twitter yesterday because of the reaction that Cam got for not being vaccinated. I feel like
yeah,
hasn't been the same reaction that Rodgers has gotten. And it's not even about really if him being vaccinated or not. People have opinions on vaccinations. That's fine. The issue is you lied about it. That's the problem.
hmm,
The problem is that you lied to avoid protocols that were put in place for you if you were not vaccinated. Because if he wasn't vaccinated, then just say it and then just follow the rules that they put in place for them. That's why there's other players that are not vaccinated that are supposed to be following these rules. So,
yeah.
I mean,
It's
I
it's a
don't know.
crazy situation. It is really a wild situation, just because you know I feel like this happens anytime something's a little bit too good to be true. I mean, we have Rodgers, we have Mahomes. It's going to
Mm-hmm.
be probably, I would say, an ass whooping by the Packers to the Chiefs this time
I hope
around.
so.
I mean, yeah,
but
everyone fingers
but now
crossed,
they
but
got
it's
Jordan Love and Blake Bortles, they're going to completely just come out there and dominate and instill fear the way Rodgers does.
Blake Bortles went to an AFC
Okay.
Championship game. I feel like
Okay.
that's one thing that we
That was
have to
also
like
how
really.
many years ago?
Well, I mean, that was the last time he was a legitimate starting quarterback.
Well,
Now he
but
is. Now he's moving.
also there's a reason why they didn't have him also.
Yeah. Well, that's the Jaguars being the Jaguars. I totally think that's the reason, not Blake's ability. I think Bortles is a fine quarterback and actually would be a lot better than a couple starting quarterbacks now. I think he's a better
Yeah.
option than Jordan Love. I mean, not Mike White though.
Yeah, no, I
Not
know.
for that
I
week.
think that's an interesting. Oh, I'm sorry. WWE's breaking news.
Yeah.
There's a
No,
bunch of
go
people
for it.
being released right now. And I'm
Oh, no
shocked about
way.
this name. I'm shocked about this name, but I'm happy about it at the same time. Do you want
Okay.
to hear it?
Yeah.
Nia Jax was released. I am
No way.
I am supportive of that 100% because that chick hurt way too many chicks in that ring, and they had no reason to be keeping her up there. They should have been bringing her back down to NXT, and they should have been retraining her because she was hurting way too many women in that
Way
ring.
too many. I agree.
And
I
she was
agree.
getting
Wow.
the like special treatment because of, oh, well, she's related to The Rock. So, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, but
Well, everyone is over there, so
yeah,
it's all one big
anyways,
family.
sorry, that was just
But
there's a bunch of
no,
it
but
happening.
I see where big WWE
Oh,
pro
there's
pop.
more. There's more.
Oh, we're gonna have to dive into that after the show.
Mia
That's definitely for
Yim,
sure.
Keith Lee,
Oh, these are good names.
Karrion Cross and Scarlett.
Oh, they're going to AEW.
Oh, for sure. There's other ones. Who else was ones? A bunch of them are people I don't even know anymore. Ember Moon, Frankie Monet.
Jeez.
So I'm kind of hoping too that John Morrison gets released because they're doing him dirty. And his wife
Yeah,
was
get
just
him
released before she even got called up, and they could have had a really cool tag team thing together.
They could
So
have. That would have been nice.
anyway.
So that was a great way to kick off the show. A little WWE news. We got some NFL news. And we got a great game tonight as well between the Colts and Jets. I know this is crazy to think, but I'm actually excited for a Jets game. I don't know about you, but
I think it
I
could.
am.
I think it would. This is like the best time for this game to be a Thursday night football. I know that people are like, "Oh, this is going to be a snooze fest," and it's possible. Any game could be a snooze fest. For all we know, we're hyping up, Packers Chiefs game, but that could probably be the worst game of the year. For all we know, you never
It really
know.
might be.
So, I think that we have Mike White, who's killing it so far and actually making it seem like it might be possible to not give the job back to Zach Wilson because he's doing much better than Zach Wilson. And the
Really?
Colts
Yeah.
have been on a roll. Carson Wentz has been playing a lot better. There's Pittman is killing it right now, whether he's just as a player or in fantasy. Like, I think it's far more interesting of a game than people are giving it credit for.
Oh, absolutely. And the crazy thing to me is that Mike White is becoming just an internet sensation. He's gone viral all week. But that's not even the crazy thing to me. The crazy thing is that he threw for over 400 yards against the Bengals defense that
Mm-hmm.
was so hot at that time. They didn't allow over 23 points before then. They put up 34 or 35. I forget the score off the top of my head at the moment. But I mean, now you go into this game. The Colts are probably, you just said, one of the hottest teams right now,
Mm-hmm.
but not because of the offense. I mean, not because of the defense and Darius Leonard, how it usually is. It's been Carson Wentz,
Mm-hmm.
and I have been I've been telling people. I said this at the beginning of the year. Granted, I think I over exaggerated a little bit, but I called Carson Wentz MVP. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I put in my future bet. Might not have been the best idea, but he's playing like he could if he keeps this up. I mean,
I just get a little bit like hesitant when it comes to Carson because obviously he had the year where he was going to probably be MVP had he not broke his leg, right? Didn't he break his leg? Was it that? He
yeah,
tore his
yeah,
ACL
yeah.
something.
He tore his
Um
ACL the year before
yeah, Brady ended up getting MVP, which I know that people don't like, but he was right behind Carson anyway, and he hasn't been like consistent really since he came back from that injury. So I always get like skeptical just to be like, I don't want to get too excited about him because we're not sure how it's going to continue. Like he's doing
No,
great right
absolutely.
now, but he doesn't have a history of consistency. So
and this is one thing that I mentioned at the beginning of the year was I feel like now in Indianapolis he can build on that consistency. He
mm-hmm.
feels comfortable playing under Frank Reich. He has a great offense surrounding him, an unbelievable run game, and not just Jonathan Taylor. Naeem Hines has been doing well, and I know Marlon Mack is a healthy scratch tonight, but they're going to get a draft pick at least for him if they trade him this in the offseason. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
he's a free agent at the end of the year, but if they would probably trade him if he's not before the draft. And, it's the perfect time for them to burst open because the Titans are probably not going to last much longer in the playoff race, to be honest.
Yeah,
So
I think Tannehill might get exposed.
I don't think
because he
he'll
doesn't
fully get
have his
exposed, but yeah.
not fully, but I mean, he had a security blanket in Derrick Henry, and that's
Yeah.
not coming back. I know that people said that he might be back in like January, but I don't see any reason to bring him back that soon. I broke a bone in my foot a few years ago. I didn't have to have surgery, so obviously it wasn't as bad as Henry's was, but it still bothers me to this day, and it's been 5 years, 4 or 5 years now, and it still bothers me. I can't
Mhm.
imagine being an athlete having to run and like not just running, but like use all your weight and like
Oh,
play games every single week. Like it's still crazy to me when George Kittle came back last year after breaking a bone in his foot. I was like, how are you
oh yeah.
back already?
He's
But
ridiculous.
I
No,
mean,
yeah, absolutely.
obviously by January they'll know if they're playoff bound or not, and then they'll be able to determine if is worth bringing him back or not.
Yeah, I would. That's what my thinking is that it's the perfect timetable for him. If they
Yeah.
said December, I'd be hesitant just because it's a week 16 now, or it's week 17 now, week 18,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't know what the hell's going to happen there. I
Well, and
don't
that's
think that
why
they're even going to
I
be in contention.
yeah. Well, especially against the Colts. Like they just had an overtime game against the Colts. So, and that wasn't easy.
No.
Um, but bringing fantasy into it, I did pick up Adrian Peterson because they
All
brought
right.
him in to replace Derrick Henry basically. I have him on my bench this week because obviously he's not playing and it's week 9, so it's like he's been gone for quite some time.
Yeah, it needs
Um
to adjust.
but he's definitely one that I would say you should pay attention to because if they brought him in, they obviously want to give the load to somebody, and it's possible that they'll be trying to use him in a Derrick Henry way. Granted, they're
Mhm.
not the same, but they relied so heavily on Henry. Um, I can imagine that they'll probably try and do the same with him once they kind of get him acclimated.
Yeah, and he's the only running back I would say at the moment. Since Le'Veon Bell is on the Ravens,
Mm-hmm.
he's the only one who could actually handle maybe, I'd say 75% of that workload because Derrick Henry broke the record along with the 1,000 others he did already this year of
Mm-hmm.
most carries of any running back throughout NFL history to this point of the year. And that just shows you that, it probably was just being worn down. I mean, what happens when
Yeah.
you drive a car for 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 miles is you're going to have to bring it to the shop at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you have to bring even cyborgs in for maintenance once in a while with that motherfucker running down the field. I mean,
Yeah.
he's a literal, like, that's the thing. This is not just to me at least. I mean, you can think what you want, but this is not a regular injury to me because Derrick Henry is not a regular man to
Yeah.
me. Okay, that man is a freak, and I mean that in the most complimentary way possible. He is an absolute giant. He runs and plays the running back position like no one I've ever seen before. I have to actually go to YouTube to go watch Jim Brown because that's
Mhm.
basically the parallels that you see. I mean, if you're gonna, and it's not like it's years ago in the Jim Brown time when he was playing like me out there essentially. These are not the
Yeah.
athletes that we see today. He's going
Mhm.
up against these athletes that he sees today. He's going to take big hits. He has taken big hits this season. It's going to happen. AP, I think he's going to transition into that role well enough to keep them fighting, but I don't think they'll make it. As for fantasy, I think he's a great flex option going forward, and I think that's the best you're going to get.
Well, and I wanted to pick him up before he possibly got hot. So I was like, okay, I'll pick him up
Smart move.
because I had a bench opening. So I'm like, okay, I'll put him there, see how it goes
Mhm.
for a game or two. And if he starts playing really well and killing it in fantasy, then I have that option. But at least now I don't have to fight other people for it.
Yeah, exactly, which is it's huge.
Yeah.
That's he's not going to play this week, and it's oh man, I'm so sad. I'm looking at my roster right now, and
Mhm.
it's the name of the team is the King Henry's Court Jesters.
Oh.
So we kind of have to rebrand a little bit,
Yeah.
which that stings. But we do have Michael Pittman in our lineup. So let's start with that
Yes.
game right now. Transitions are weird. The New York Jets are traveling to Indy. They play the Colts tonight, as we've already talked about. This is crazy to me. 10.5 point spread.
Wow.
Why? I think I think they're not giving Mike White enough credit.
Well, and I mean, to a certain extent, I think it's fair because you still are like, well, he's a rookie. Like, you don't really know how he's going to do. And this is a more formidable opponent.
I would agree.
Um,
Absolutely.
so, I think that since, like we said earlier, the Colts are on a hot streak right now, they're being looked at more favorably in these types of matchups, whereas the Jets are the Jets.
Yeah.
You can't really have any high expectations of them generally.
No, and yeah, I mean they prove that from time to time. I really want to believe in them tonight. I really
Yeah.
do. Uh, I do believe in Mike White for a fantasy start. If you do have a guy like a Herbert or another star quarterback that's on. I think Brady's on by this week, right? Brady, yeah, the
Yes.
Bucks are on by. Like if you have
Hmm.
Brady as your starting quarterback, I mean, putting Mike White or even better Carson Wentz into your lineup, I think you get another 20 point performance at least.
I
So
have Pittman in one, and I have Carter in another one. I don't, or
that's
maybe
another
it's
one.
this. Maybe it's the same one.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's the same league. I have them both in.
Okay. Yeah, I have
I
Pittman in
had
like
to,
four
I had to
leagues.
pick up Carter because Derrick Henry got injured, so he was available, and
That's
I was like,
crazy.
okay, well, he seems to be on the up and up, so I'm hoping
Actually,
that he can give me those points that I need now that Henry's out.
I actually have Brady in a league, and I do not think that I can pick up what's Mike White, which stinks. It's a 20-person league, but that's regard the
Oh
point.
my gosh, I can't
Uh,
imagine. That must be
it
so horrible.
it was an auction draft. It was definitely an interesting experience to say the least.
Yeah.
I wouldn't start Tyler Croft. He's actually my maniac sit of the week because Darius Leonard is going to eat him up. Oh my word. That's the thing. A lot of my fantasy advice, it involves a lot of defensive players because I'm
Mhm.
obsessed with defense, obviously. But Darius Leonard actually makes a difference in games, especially in fantasy matchups, at a position where there's no consistency. It's so unknown. There's so much uncertainty going in week to week. I would strongly advise anyone who tunes into this or hears this, uh, don't play anyone against Darius Leonard and don't play Tyler Croft tonight. I think that he's not going to do anything. And this Colts defense is going to actually give the Jets a little bit of trouble. It'll still be close, but I think they will give them like some serious trouble.
I just hope the Jets lose.
Don't we all?
I'm that's
Don't we all
that's
though?
that's how I'm going into this. I'm like, can you just lose?
I
That's
would be
all I care about.
brave.
Like, give me a good game, but lose.
Oh, I mean, if there's not a good game, it's going to really suck. Uh,
Yeah.
but I'm going to stick with you starting Wentz, Jonathan Taylor, obviously. Here's the thing. Here's a little sneaky start, if uh, especially for DFS because I'm doing it. Uh, Naeem Hines at the flex. He could vulture touchdown or two. Marlon Mack is going to be a healthy scratch. I think that if you play Naeem Hines, he's going to get a couple receptions for PPR people, touchdown or two. That could be 10 points. That's all you want out of the flex, especially with bye weeks. There's a lot of players
I
out.
I dropped him a long time ago. If I'm being honest, I was so
I don't blame you.
disappointed.
I
I was
don't blame
like,
you. Makes
I'm gonna
sense.
need more from this position, and you're not doing it for me, bro.
Well,
So
nice to have him now without Derrick Henry.
that is
Just
true.
I can't expect that to happen.
Yeah.
Oh, the next game up to talk about is just so nice and so awful at the same time. The Miami Dolphins hosting the Houston Texans. Tyrod
Oh,
is making his return. Would you consider playing him at all?
for the rest of the year, yes, I would consider it because he was doing pretty well at the beginning of the year before he got injured. I am
Mhm.
always hesitant to start a player that is playing in their first game since returning to injury because you just don't know how that injury is going to affect them. Um, so
Watch
I always tell people like that's up to you. Like I mean, people were going to tell you both ways, but I really feel like that has to be a decision you make on your own because if it were me, I would say no, I wouldn't play him this week.
hmm
Um, but there's not a lot of quarterbacks that are getting you consistent points every week. So he's definitely one that I would watch because, like I said, at the beginning of the year, he was good. There was a lot of people that were trying to get him too.
Oh,
So
and he's a great steal, especially in two quarterback leagues, which apparently are becoming more popular and popular by the year.
I played that
And
the first year that I played fantasy 2 or 3 years ago.
yeah,
Yeah, it would have been 2 years ago. That was the first play type I played was two quarterbacks, two receivers, two running backs.
oh, okay.
And so then ever since then I've only played with one, but I'm like I kind of miss playing with two.
It
But
throws another element. I will definitely say that. It's definitely another element to think about. I know
mhm.
I helped someone in a draft where they didn't tell me that they had 2 quarterbacks,
Oh.
was a standard. So, it was like the 3rd round, or it was the 2nd round, and they just picked Christian McCaffrey first. Saquon was still on the board along with, like, a lot of other names that
Mhm.
should have been gone a long time ago. I'm like,
Yeah.
You gotta go," and then you get to the ninth round, and the next best guy is Andy Dalton or
Yeah.
Justin
Oh.
Fields, or it was,
Yeah.
it's, but you make it work because you have moments like this. You can play Mike White actually, two quarterback. I would definitely be interested in that. That's a good
Yeah.
play. Wentz makes a great play as well, and we'll get to it a little later with Jordan Love, but I think that might be a sneaky play too, especially this week. Who
Yeah.
knows?
And it's hard to say because like the Chiefs defense sucks. So I mean it's
They
built
do.
for an inexperienced quarterback for the most
Hmm.
part. But again, what have we seen from him? So it's like one of those things that would be a risk. Like you don't know. You don't know what you're gonna get from him.
Yeah, I agree, but we'll see. We'll see, and we'll get to that. Because we Dolphins Texans. Are you playing? I would start Tua, and I need it. I'm gonna get in my soapbox here, okay, my imaginary soapbox, because I love Tua. Okay, I think Tua is getting the rawest of deals out of any rookie quarter, or not rookie, but young quarterback. It's
Yeah.
bullshit. What's going
Yeah.
on? I
I
feel for
feel
the
so
guy.
bad for him.
It makes no sense. It's absolutely asinine. First off, and if I'm not going to talk about the bad situation that happened this week, I'm not going to talk about the person that they almost traded for, because that is the root of the problem. For
Did you
no
see
reason,
how
it has no
deep that
reason.
went though?
Oh,
Did
I mean,
did you
I
see
don't know
like
how deep. I don't know how deep, but I
okay,
can predict how deep it went.
like what his lawyer what so and so bad person's name's lawyer was saying that they did? Did you read that?
No, I did not.
He okay, not to get into the details of that situation because
We
it
love
that's
getting off track. I love
but
it.
from and of course his attorney is a little or I'm sorry, the not his attorney, it was the girl's attorney. People say that
Mhm.
he's a little bit of a sketchy character because they believe that he does things to push his own agenda or like an ego thing. Um However, he is representing people who claim to be victims. So obviously that is respectful in that way.
Yeah.
However, he's claiming that the Dolphins asked that 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 not deals but like that he would pay them money to like end the court
No
proceedings.
way.
It gets worse.
Oh, great.
He also reported that several women, I don't know, I can't remember off the top of my head if he mentioned a number, but supposedly the Dolphins asked women to sign NDAs. And I
Jesus
was like, that's
Christ.
like bottom of the barrel type shit because
That's
it's
tough.
like I understand that you want to get a quarterback and of course if this situation wasn't happening, like a ton of teams would be cramming to get Deshaun
Oh,
Watson. Like
absolutely.
of course they
Yeah.
would because he was a great quarterback. But the fact that you could possibly have gotten that deep into this just because you
That
wanted him, like that's disgusting.
and that just strengthens my point about Tua so
Mhm.
much, is that you draft this man, what was it, 5th, 6th, tomato,
Yeah.
potato, it doesn't matter at the end of the day.
Mhm.
The point is that you drafted him in a top 10 roll up at a top 10 pick, and you are trusting him to lead your franchise to the Super Bowl, back to where, you know, you guys belong essentially, and nothing. And they're getting no support. He's done well. You know, if you watch games, and this is where I really get annoyed with people, is that they don't look at the what he's doing. They just take the big picture and
Or the
oh, the
box
Dolphins are
score.
sucking. Yeah, but
Yeah.
exactly the box score mainly. But and they're not watching him play. Like he makes good passes. You know, he may have thrown for 3 picks the other day, or but he threw for what was it? Do you have 6 touchdowns? I'm like
I,
90% sure it's 6 touchdowns
oh, I have no
or
idea,
5.
honestly.
It was at least but it was a number like that where it's not, out of nowhere. Like he's done this before. He can do it. You just
Yeah.
give him great weapons. You're getting Will Fuller back, which honestly that might be a good start, revenge game.
Mm,
Jalen Waddle is a great target to throw to. Mike
mhm.
Gesicki's a great tight end and a
Mhm.
great fantasy start, especially this week.
I'm
And then you
starting
got
him.
Miles Gaskin. And then
Mhm.
Gaskin,
Well, and
who's
didn't Flores draft Tua? So that's the
yeah,
thing. Not even like he became the coach of the Dolphins and then got stuck with, the previous coach's
yeah,
draft pick. It's like you specifically chose him when you had a plethora of people to choose from at that point of
absolutely.
the draft. You had like everyone basically in your
Yeah.
hands to pick. You chose this guy and then you've basically crapped on him since you
Flores
got
is
him.
not in that. I don't think Flores has to do with anything
I'm
for
just
what.
saying he's like when you think about the franchise, you think
Okay,
about
okay.
Flores like because he's the coach. So it's like
Okay,
you just think
okay.
I think it's just also because you're so used to as a Patriots fan, Belichick's the GM. So then you're just like, wait, aren't all coaches GMs? And then you're like, no, they're not.
Yeah. Did you see that Belichick did not do anything with the trade deadline? He was not involved in any of that. He trusted the front office,
Oh, I
which
did not.
yeah, he did. He let them deal with the trade deadline this year, which I think that's because he already got who he wanted. His master plan is well in the works, so I think
Well,
it's like,
and
yeah,
I
whatever
didn't
you want,
really
just
think
add it.
yeah, I didn't think that there was really anything that they were going to do anyway.
Me
Like, could they
neither.
have
No,
added maybe like a deep threat wide receiver because they don't like Aguilar? Then sure. Um, but
I love
I don't
Aguilar.
feel like there was really anybody that they could have gone for
No,
that was worth giving up any draft capital or giving up any player that you currently had. Like, I know a lot of people were hoping that they would trade N'Keal Harry. Obviously, they could have done that
fucking should. I'm so
before the
over it.
season started when he was requesting a trade. They've kept him this long.
Yeah.
So that didn't surprise me. But yeah, I just didn't think that there was really anything that they were going to do. So I wasn't surprised at all.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised by that either. I mean, we'll see with OBJ, but so Dolphins. I mean, starting Texans. Brandon Cooks. I think he's
Yeah.
our safe start. You can
I
always
made
start
the
Brandon
mistake
Cooks.
of not starting him last week or the week before, and that was a mistake. So I have him
And
in
that's
at
the thing.
least one
Isn't
league.
that crazy? Isn't that crazy that not starting? I mean, Brandon Cooks, whatever receiver it is, on a team like the Texans, and it's like the safest thing you can do
Hmm.
is start someone on a shit team like that.
I
Then
know.
he produced. It's
I
crazy.
mean, I'm a little concerned just because he was expressing how unhappy he was with the Ingram trade, but
Mhm.
I still like him in general in this matchup too. I mean, he's a great receiver, so hopefully they can figure that situation out because I mean, like he's not the type to post those types of things on social media. So,
No.
I mean, I don't blame him. It's not like he didn't choose to go to the Texans, did he? Did he get traded there? I don't even know.
Uh,
Like that's the
I
thing with
forgot off the
OBJ
top of my
since you
head.
mentioned him. Like people are like, he's whatever about
Can't
Cleveland." I'm like,
wait.
"You do realize he was traded there, right? Like
I can't wait.
he didn't choose to go to Cleveland."
No, he didn't. But I mean,
So,
I can't wait for him to come. That's gonna be amazing.
I think he's going to Tampa. He's going to go to Tampa, dude.
Not a chance in hell he goes to Tampa.
He wants
I
to
think
play
he's
with
gonna go.
Brady.
He might want to. All right. I think the
I
Patriots
feel
are
like
gonna
he's
make him
more of a
go.
Brady guy than he is Belichick. Like a lot of Patriots people were
Who
like, "Oh,
isn't?
he's a Belichick guy," and I'm like, "But I mean, look, he gave goat hair cleats to Brady,
That was
dude. Like,
hilarious. That was
like I
hilarious.
was
Wait,
at
was that
that
was the game?
game.
Yeah, I was about to say you were at
Yeah,
that game.
I was at that game, and I didn't even know. I was like, "Wait, what's going on?" And then I saw the pictures later, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Like, it seems like he's more, like into Brady, but I don't know if they have the room. I don't. They weren't listed as a team that had the room. Um, But Arians said that they had no plan on bringing Antonio Brown in, and they did just that like a week later. So.
Well, yeah, you don't go against Brady. That's one thing we've realized in
Mm-hmm. Well,
organizations.
Brady runs that team. Are you kidding me?
I mean, he
Arians is
runs
just like a
everything.
placeholder. He just is like, yeah, I'm the head coach.
He does way too much. He does more than people think. Let's not. I am a big Bruce Arians person. I
Okay,
love the
well,
man.
I'm a big Tom Brady person. So.
And look at that. They're paired together and winning championships. Like look at that.
Shocking.
So yeah, Texans basically there. Dolphins start to Waddle, start every Dolphin. Start Cooks. Tyrod is a great quarterback too. Would you start him as quarterback 1 this week before we get into the next game?
Tyrod Taylor?
Yes.
Oh no, I'm not starting him this week.
Okay.
I want to see how he does from injury first.
Fair. Okay. That makes sense. So next up, we got Dallas and Denver.
Dak is coming back.
Dak's back.
CeeDee Lamb is questionable. He sprained his ankle supposedly at practice yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was at practice today though, I think, but I have him on my bench right now, I think, because I'm like, I don't know what's going on with you, bro. Yeah. But
to me that says that Cedric Wilson is going to have a bigger role, and
Amari
it's crazy.
Cooper.
Amari Cooper is going to have a even bigger day than he usually does. Cedric Wilson fascinates me this year because he came in so under the radar after Gallup's injury, and essentially is, I would say, a great wide receiver 2 on any team, and he's the third guy, but he's been able to find his way, find a niche in there. And I think if you want this week, I mean, Denver just lost Von Miller. I would go out and maybe start him. It wouldn't be a bad start at the flex.
I feel like I wasn't completely shocked about the Von Miller thing. I think that he's a great player, but I feel like, like who said it? There was someone who said,
I know it. I once it happened. Oh.
That he's kind of like declining and it's just natural. So, I mean, the Rams are going all in though. Like they're like, we don't need any draft picks in 2022 or 2023.
They want nothing to do with picks.
Yeah, they're going all in on a championship this year. And I'm just like, I mean, I understand, but like you guys need to also build for your future, and giving up all your draft picks is not the way to do it, especially investing a draft pick in a man who's like, 32? Yeah. Like, I mean, he doesn't have a lot longer left. Like in life, he's young, not in football.
That's a crazy, yeah.
It's so funny. I just turned 32, and like I talk about football players, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like 32, like he's so old. And then I'm like, yeah, but then if you talk about someone else, like, in everyday life, you're like, no, they're only 32. Like that's young.
They're hitting their prime. They're doing great.
And then I'm like, but then when I talk about myself, I'm like, God, I'm a grandma.
See, but there's the thing. This isn't football. This is life. You're not a grandma yet. You're
no, I'm kind of
32 is the new 22.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Speaking of 22-year-olds, CeeDee Lamb, do you think he'll play? Have a bigger role this week because of that injury? Are you going to play him over Cedric Wilson, or would you find somewhere else? Find a better matchup.
I mean, I feel like it's just at this point, you kind of just have to watch it. Like, I don't know that I can make the choice yet because I believe, like I said, he was at practice today, which is a good sign. I don't believe that they really said anything about the severity of the injury, but one would assume if he sprained his ankle yesterday and then was at practice today, then that means that it's not as bad as what a sprained ankle sounds like. So I think that it's something that you need to watch for and then make your decision, because I think that if it's kind of still questionable, then you might want to swap him and Wilson.
Okay.
Or if you got Amari Cooper, go full blown on Amari Cooper.
The shit out of Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
Are we starting any Broncos?
I mean, if you have to, Cortland Sutton.
I am starting Cortland Sutton in the league.
Okay, yeah. No, I think, yeah. Tim Patrick was like hot for like 2 weeks, I think.
Tim motherfucking Patrick.
Yeah, I think he
Love
was
him.
like hot for 2 weeks and then he's kind of been like, eh. So I'm like, if you have to, like, I would go Sutton. Probably not Tim Patrick, but
Melvin Gordon.
mm,
Yeah.
sure.
The so I saw this somewhere. It was like, who would you sit to Javonte Williams this week? And it was like three other guys. I said initially yes, because it's just like, all right, matchup. Cowboys line has been pretty good, and defense been a lot better than last year. But if you look at Javonte Williams this year, he is in the category with like Nick Chubb and someone else for most yards after contact, like 11.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like the man. So that's one thing you have to consider. A stat you should consider before making a decision in your lineup like that is, if he can do that at that level, it means it doesn't matter who he's facing. He's
Yeah.
going to get his yards and get some, and he's been productive the whole year. I mean,
Mm,
if it wasn't for Melvin Gordon, he would be a running back one, not only on his team but for a lot of other fantasy
yeah.
teams as well.
Well, and I think a lot of people forget that there are players that aren't just like, the big names that are must starts every week.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there's quarterbacks that you're like, oh yeah, it doesn't matter. Like that's a must start. Or this, Derrick Henry is a must start every week. But there's other players too. It's like, even with Brandon Cooks, like he's kind of an under the radar because there's so many other players that have a bigger name than him. Like people know who Brandon Cooks is, but he's productive in fantasy and always has been, no matter what team he's on. And so it's
Yeah.
almost like every week he's a must start too. But like people are like, no, a must start is Devontae Adams and whoever else. I can't think of other ones, but like other
Yeah.
names like that because it's like a flashy name and Brandon Cooks isn't. So
Yeah, I don't know, totally. And just because we're talking about my guy Tim motherfucking Patrick, who I have a little bit of a little quandary here, a little predicament, because I have him in as my wide receiver two. We have Justin Jefferson at the wide receiver one, obviously. Who do we start, Tim Patrick or Julio Jones?
ooh. Um no, that's hard. I feel like Julio hasn't done anything, right?
Nothing,
Like
nothing. His past
absolute
couple games,
I feel like he made a mistake with
ooh,
where he signed,
totally.
honestly. Like I
Could
don't
not agree
think that
more.
he really considered um that's something that I feel like people aren't like. I kind of talked about it with like Jimmy Graham. I feel like he like after he left the Saints or whatever, he kept going to teams that did not really use tight ends, and so it was like, why do you keep
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
teams
yeah.
that don't use tight ends? And I feel like this was like a situation where he was like, oh, I love the coach, I love the team, blah 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 blah. But it's like Julio, you're not going to be a clear number one there. And
Yeah.
not with Derrick Henry, who's basically a number one no matter what position he's playing.
Yeah, well, I don't get
Um,
why. Yeah, I don't get
and
that.
AJ Brown, obviously. So, I
Yeah,
mean, maybe
that's
he
right.
wanted to continue to be in that type of role because he kind of shared it a little bit with Calvin Ridley, like in the last 2 years as a Falcon.
Mhm.
But yeah, he's done nothing. So I feel like I would almost feel more comfortable starting Patrick over him because, like, you
Yeah,
don't you know you're going to get points from Patrick, but you don't know what you're going to get from Julio.
I mean, Julio Jones did not play last week, and he didn't play against the Jets or Jaguars. Since week two is the only time this season he's put up over double-digit points. After that, it's been 5.5, obviously 0-0, missing the two back-to-back, six
Mm-hmm.
and a half, 4, and missed last week.
It's just crazy, like thinking about these players, like even we talked about Odell a little bit. It's crazy thinking about like Odell Beckham Jr., who was such a huge name like 3-4 years ago. Julio Jones, who was like the absolute wide receiver one on any team ever, because it was like he's
Everywhere.
crazy. And now look at how we're talking about them. Like it's
Yeah.
so insane how quickly someone's career can essentially drop off.
Oh, it's wild. And Tim Patrick right now is producing a lot better numbers
And
than
who would have
him.
guessed a man named Tim Patrick? Like one of the
Insane.
most basic names you could ever think of. Maybe a name that you created on Madden or
It really
WWE
sounds like someone
SVR.
I just yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
the best game. I missed the SVR. They better bring that back with 2K or something along those lines because
Yeah.
God, I miss those games. But yeah, it does sound like it's someone that you would create in Madden. or a rival that they
Him
created
versus
for you
Mike
to play.
White. Battle of
That
the
is
generic names.
that is the most generic, just quarterback or just player battle I've ever seen.
Well, and Tim Patrick has 2 first names. So those are always kind of questionable people too.
Okay, that's I was going to say that. My brothers told me when I was younger. We're at dinner and he says never trust someone with 2 first names.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's one of those people. You're kind of
But
like,
I love him, and
yeah. I
everyone
mean,
should
hey, I would
too.
start him over Julio. Maybe that's terrible
I would
advice, but
definitely
I mean,
start.
based off of what we've seen,
No,
I
it's
think
not
he's
bad
safe to
advice.
go. Yeah.
Trying to think of someone else. Oh, all right. This is a nice little. Actually, I'd rather do that for. Actually, no. We're talking about this Kendrick Bourne or
Okay.
Tim Patrick.
Um. Okay. So the Broncos. Who are the Broncos playing again? What did we say?
We said they're playing the Cowboys.
Okay. Oh. Ooh. That's hard because when Kendrick Bourne is involved in the game, he's productive and he's gotten some really great throws. Like he's gotten a lot of yards on not many passes. So
Hmm.
he gets you decent points, even if he only had 2 catches.
Yeah, he's very
Um,
efficient. I would agree.
but both of them are kind of like down, like further down the depth chart because there's other guys that they will go to. That's kind of hard. I
I would.
don't. I
Yeah.
feel like I who's the Cowboys have a good defense and so do the Panthers. So it's kind of like I don't know. That's hard. That's a tough one.
I would go. I'd go Tim Patrick. I would start Kendrick Bourne over Julio though.
I think Tim Patrick has probably more likely to get involved in the game than Kendrick Bourne. That changes from
Hmm.
week to week whether or not he actually gets anything. So maybe Tim is
Yeah,
probably like a safer choice if you had to choose between the two.
I would. Yeah, totally. Let's just do this quick one because the next one is Pats Panthers, and I know that's gonna be a big topic of ours. So let's talk about this one real quick. Vikings Ravens. I got my Dan Bailey Vikings jersey on, who they should have re-signed, but you know, we don't hold grudges here. Vikings travel to Baltimore. Baltimore's there at 5.5. Listen. I don't care if the Ravens are this good this year. I still am starting every receiver against them. I don't care. I would start Justin Jefferson,
Mhm.
Thielen, obviously, and I have him on one of my league's benches. But KJ Osborne, he's getting a lot of looks this year. I wouldn't. It would not be a bad play. And then obviously Dalvin Cook.
Well, and he's been very up and down. He was a hot name again, another one of those ones that was hot for like 2 weeks. Um, but hasn't done a lot. I mean, Thielen was like that too. I swear he was in the doghouse with Kirk Cousins or something because I was like, what is going on? Like, it was like one game he didn't even get a first pass until like the 3rd or 4th quarter. I was like, what is happening? This is like your favorite guy in the entire world, and you're not
Yeah,
involving him at all. So, um, I have him in my league as well. Um, and then I actually don't have any other Ravens players than Lamar. So
yeah. I'm starting.
I
Obviously,
yeah.
you're starting Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
mean,
he's too good um in both aspects of running and passing. Like he's going to get you points no matter what. Even if
yeah,
they play really horribly, he's going to get you points some way.
yeah. I don't know.
And
He's
when you have
very consistent.
Rodgers who is now out, Lamar is a good option. He's great.
It's a
He's
great
great that
option.
you got Rodgers and Lamar. It's a good draft.
Oh, that is a very good draft.
Yeah, that was me in one league.
Ooh, that's
I
not
know.
bad.
I think I'm
Well,
0 and 2 in that league though, so
oh,
the
good
struggle's real.
team. Hey, I forgot what I was supposed to say. I was going because you said draft, so it triggered in my mind the draft this year.
Uh-huh.
Rashad Bateman. Would you throw him in the mix, or are you just kind of staying away from any Ravens receivers just in general?
I don't know that I'm staying away from Ravens receivers. I didn't get my hands on any. um but
Not a bad thing.
I think they're another team though that passes the ball around. They don't really have like a favorite guy.
Hmm.
So I don't think it's a bad idea to really choose any of them, honestly. I mean, even if you have Hollywood Brown, like he's very up and down with his production in each game, but um I think that this is going to be a little bit of a tougher game for the Ravens than people might think. So yeah, I would just start anybody you have, really.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. All right, I have to before we get into the Pats game. I'm obviously doing my checking of Twitter to make sure that we are all caught up in breaking news or if
Hmm.
there are any that happened because I love when breaking news hits when I record.
Yeah.
This is kind of breaking news. I don't know if you're a Rick and Morty person.
No, not at all.
Oh,
Sorry.
Naeem Hines' cleats are Pickle Rick,
Oh, okay. I
and
do know who that is,
I
but
mean, yeah, it's so, but they tweeted saying like, "Look, Morty, I turned myself into cleats. I am so happy that I played this man in DFS. I'm so happy because I think he's going to score now. That's book it. Naeem Hines touchdown. Book it.
all right,
I'm telling you.
because you said so.
That'll be awesome. Yeah, and hopefully this is awesome as well when the Patriots defeat, or hopefully the Carolina Panthers. Patriots come into this one favorite of 4.
The
Yeah, the
Patriots are a
Carolina,
favorite?
yeah, the favorite. But I mean,
Wow.
are you shocked? I mean, even if
I'm kind
Christian
of shocked
McCaffrey
because I
plays,
feel like they been favorited in any game.
not really. They
Okay,
haven't
that's why
really.
I'm
So,
shocked. Like maybe against the Jets because it's the Jets, and when was the
oh, I
last
mean,
time the
yeah, I
Jets were
love them.
favored? But no, yeah, I'm surprised because um based off what they're 4-4, like no one's talking
Yeah,
about them really in a good way. So that's why I'm like, wait, what? We're actually favored for once? That still
yeah.
exists?
It's I know,
I love
crazy,
it. I mean,
but
I love that Sam Darnold wasn't really practicing today.
I know that's
I
why
mean,
they
I'm not
are probably.
I'm not excited about an injury,
No, we
but
gotta preference that. We're not siding with them.
he's dealing with a concussion and a shoulder injury. And from what I read earlier, there's a little bit more concern about the shoulder than the concussion. So,
Yeah,
um,
Sam, just sit
who's
out. It's okay.
who's their
It's all
backup
right.
though?
XFL legend PJ Walker.
Okay, whoever that is. Um, I don't know anything about him, so I would definitely prefer that. But I am worried about Gilmore. That worries me. I'm worried that he's
I
playing
don't
the
know.
Patriots. He
That's
got an
and
interception last week. His first game in, he got
I
an interception.
I know, but what I and you bring me great. You lined this question up perfectly.
Okay.
Is Mac Jones? He's playing essentially like a top quarterback in the league. He has the highest passer rating. I think
Hmm.
I saw on
We don't
Instagram.
care about passer
Uh
rating though.
completions too. His
Oh,
completion
okay.
percentage is unbelievable, off the charts.
Yeah. I
Would
think it
you
went down
consider
a little
him?
bit from last week, but
Well, yeah. I mean, he
it's
played
still
like
at
one game last
68, I
week.
think.
I mean, for rookie,
Yeah.
that offense, I think it's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I would am thinking if he's even a starting quarterback this week in fantasy. Are you going to start him during a bye week, or would you rather start a guy like Tua or Tyrod Taylor?
Yeah, I would. I don't know. Mac, I think when I read on NFL.com, I think it was Adam Rank I was looking at his start sits. I think he has Mac as sitting this week.
Mm-hmm.
I think I like
Makes
the
sense.
Dolphins Texans matchup a little bit more. I feel like I might feel a little bit more confident in Tua over Mac this week, just because I mean the Panthers started off with a really great defense, but the fact that he's going to have to be throwing to possibly the side of Gilmore just makes me a little bit worried. I mean he
Oh yeah.
started in his first game as a Panther, gets an interception, and I don't know that this is necessarily going to be a revenge game. It seems like he was a little bit upset with how the Patriots dealt with his injury, which he expressed this week in a press conference. But I don't know that he's going to necessarily be like seeking revenge on the Patriots. I mean, if it weren't
No,
for the
I don't think it
Patriots and
will.
his time with the Patriots, there is no one that would necessarily be sitting there clamoring to get him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, no shade to his career in Buffalo, but obviously he's going to be remembered most
He's a
fondly for his
patriot.
time
He's a
in the Patriots.
patriot.
Yeah.
Let's be
So
real
yeah, I
here.
would probably go with Tua over Mac, just based off the matchup.
Yeah, I would not start Mac either.
Yeah,
And it's not
and I don't
because
like
of
I don't
Gilmore, but
yeah, I don't like to start Patriots players. I don't know if I've said that. I don't really
no,
like to
I
have
know.
Patriots players
But
on my team. I'm too
that's
superstitious. I can't
yeah.
do it. Can't
Then
do it.
that's why I think that's I think one thing that a lot of people would think is very strange when it comes to Patriots fans is that, or at least I would say educated ones like you and I, is
Mhm.
that we don't want players in the lineup if
No.
we don't need them to be. You
I
know,
have
like
I have one
I
friend
don't
that
want them.
has I'm in a few leagues with, and she's a Patriots fan and a Bucks fan because she's like she's
Tom Brady.
from both spots. Yeah, no, she like
Okay.
lives in Tampa, but like also has
Okay.
a connection to the Patriots somehow. I don't know. Anyway, and so when she's drafted, it's like she wants like every Bucks player or every Patriots player, and I'm like, girl, feel free because I don't
I
want
would take
any of
it.
them. Like I mean,
Yeah.
Bucks players, sure. I'm not superstitious with them. Obviously, I'm not a fan of them. But
Yeah.
when it comes to the Patriots, no, you couldn't pay me to bring anybody on there.
No, and this week if you and I'm not I would not even start Damian Harris if you can, because the Panthers' defensive line has been incredible this season, especially against running backs. I am only starting Damian Harris in a league because what I say before, my team named the King Henry's Corchesters, and now well, we don't have a king, we just have a bunch of
Yeah.
Corchesters running around.
How did he do against the Bucks? Did we I know that he threw the ball a lot. I just can't remember off the top of my head because they also have a really good front seven. So I'm like, how did Damian do in that game?
He did fine.
Okay, because I
It
just like I
wasn't
can't
like
remember. I wish that I had what like the photographic memory where I'm just like, oh, or like the Belichick memory where I can be like, at this time in the
that'd be
game,
awesome.
they did this because they were on it. Like, I wish I could do that, but
That would
off the
be
top of
so
my head, I
awesome.
can't.
I try, but it's so hard. Like
I'm
even
gonna
as
have
you said,
to.
like I can't even remember how well he did, but I know that it wasn't anything crazy because that was what during this his punishment for fumbling every single
Yeah,
time. But I and
I'm
it's
gonna
not
look it up.
that's not even why I'm not starting him. It's because I just really believe that this Carolina front seven is just dominant
I
and
was just trying to
they have
think
to
of
improve
something
it.
to compare him to. You know.
No, then that's a good point, and I would not start him. Maybe as we said, Kendrick Bourne. I think just on matchup, obviously he's not going to be the focus of the defense because that's Jacoby Myers, Hunter Henry, Nelson Aguilar. So he's not going to see that coverage.
And by the way,
Julio,
he
so
he failed miserably against Tampa.
that's what I asked. So
Four
uh,
four rushes for -4 yards.
how we do it. That's how we
Two out
do
of
it
two,
against good
two for
defenses.
2 and 30 yards in receiving. But yeah, I don't know that he's a lock this week, y'all. And that's just not me saying that because I'm superstitious. I don't know about that.
Oh, yeah. DJ Moore,
Mm-hmm.
Panthers. I I'm proud of this one. I really am proud of this one because in March or April, down here when I was trying to think of crazy predictions or whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
I just had throughout, DJ Moore. He's going to finish as a top 12 receiver this year. No more Curtis Samuel and who they bring, Robbie Anderson, different role, whatever.
Yeah.
It's really coming into flourishing. It's really coming together, and
I,
he's right now is wide receiver 9. How and I think even this week against this Patriots defense that's been stellar, I would start him. He's a week to week starter. Definitely lock him in there.
yeah, I would say so. I have him on my bench because I don't even like to start players against the Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
I made that
Yeah,
mistake with Tampa. I think I had Mike Evans start and he didn't really do anything, or it was the opposite. I had him on my bench and he did a whole lot. I can't remember.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, I mean, he's been pretty consistent. He had a couple down weeks, but
Mm-hmm.
if you're gonna play somebody on the Panthers, I would go with him.
Bills, Jaguars. All right, let's just that where I'm not gonna go into this one. All right, it's Bills are hey, favorite of 4. Let's just hit the main points. Just quick lightning round of because this is I'm not. There's no reason for us to dive into this one. Full scale.
Play the Bills players
Everyone.
questionable with Emmanuel Sanders. Emmanuel Sanders is questionable because like he got what no points last week or the week before. I can't
No
remember,
points.
but
Yeah, he did
um
not play well. I remember
yeah,
that.
I would stick with Diggs. I mean, if you had to start Sanders, go for it. But James Robinson, is he out?
No, he's
I
gonna
know.
play.
Okay, he's
He's gonna play.
injured though, so that's a little bit risky.
Well,
But
he's questionable. If you have Carlos Hyde or can grab Carlos Hyde, maybe do
yeah,
it just because if you need a
as
spot to
a
fill.
as a backup if you need it. But
I
yeah, I
wouldn't
mean,
go
I would
crazy.
assume the Bills are going to win. The Jags
Yeah,
gave the Seahawks. Didn't they give the Seahawks a hard time, or no? That who did they just give a hard time to? Somebody else.
it was the Seahawks.
It was. Yeah, but
Yeah,
didn't the Seahawks? No, the Seahawks dominated them. They got 7 points, I think, in like garbage time.
I can't think right now, but
Whatever.
yeah,
The
I
Jags
would.
were actually like playing better than expected. The other like in recent weeks,
They're
unless
not a
I'm
bad team.
absolutely crazy. But
No,
um,
you're right. They did have spurts of greatness, but
as
it just
much as I want to be right about the Bills, I would love for the Bills to lose. So,
yeah.
but when it comes to
That's,
fantasy, obviously play Bills players.
you got to play. Josh Allen is probably the star of the week, and Jacksonville just stick to your guns. James Robinson, if you have to. I actually told someone today. They asked, "Oh, Zach Moss is like a great flex option." Wanted to mention that. A friend snapped me today and asked if he should play James Robinson, and I
Mm-hmm.
told him. I asked him if he had any other uh, running backs that you could put in there. He did. I forget who it was, but Snapchat, someone text. But I told him not to start James Robinson because if you can have someone that has a better matchup and better chance, higher ceiling, you
Yeah.
got to go that
Well,
route.
and not coming off injury
You can't.
when
Yeah,
you
it's
don't know
tough.
the severity of it.
Yeah, those are the worst.
Yeah.
Those are the worst. Cleveland, Cincinnati.
The Battle of
I
the Orange.
the Paul Brown Bowl, as I like to say. I am starting. I mean, Nick
This
Chubb
is
is a must.
yeah.
Are we fading
Uh
on to Ernest right now? Do we think he
who?
comes
Who did you
back
say?
to Ernest Johnson?
Oh, I got rid of him. He disappointed me last week. I was like, bro, I was cheering for you. We were
To
all
Ernest the
cheering for
Rock
you.
Johnson?
Yeah, he disappointed me.
He,
I think he got like a touchdown though, but still, I mean, obviously with Nick Chubb back, he's
yeah,
not going to be seeing as many touches.
no.
I mean, maybe Jarvis Landry. Now they for sure are
Oh,
not going
yeah,
to.
absolutely. Jarvis
Don't
Landry.
have Odell, so
You know, he led the team in targets.
who
OBJ.
really that whole
I'm like 90% sure I saw that and giggled.
it just seems like it was a bad experiment, and I kind of feel bad for all involved, honestly. Like
Yeah.
not just like I know that most people want to feel bad for the Browns. I'm like I feel bad for OBJ. Like he has come a long way with his behavior and the way he carried himself and his reputation. People aren't really they're not talking about him in the same way that they did on the tail end, especially of his time with New York.
Mm-hmm.
And like we said earlier, he didn't choose to go to Cleveland. He ended up there. So sometimes when you make a trade, it doesn't work. And that's just like the reality of things. Like you want a player because you're like, okay, this guy's really good. I think he can, help wherever if they play offense or defense, but
Mm-hmm.
it just doesn't seem like it was a relationship destined for longevity.
No, yeah. I kind of you kind of saw that once it happened. I felt like if he went to
It's been a
another place,
progressive, a slow decline.
yeah, I would wholeheartedly agree with that. Bengals, obviously Jamar Chase. I
Mm-hmm.
said sit Joe Mixon this week. I don't know what it is. The Browns defense has been a lot better this season, especially with Myles Garrett, the shapeshifter.
Yeah.
The man teleports. I mean, that's pretty cool.
I still can't get over what was it? Him in his like outfit at the draft or what was it? Wasn't he in like that green like turtleneck and suit or whatever? And it was like, how
Oh
was this
yeah, yeah.
painted on you? Like, how did you get into this? You giant?
I mean,
He's like carved out of stone, as
see
the
his
as the
muscles.
boomers say.
They
Yeah,
they asked to drug test him because he
I
went
know.
sleeveless
I
and
saw he
unleashed the
just
cannons.
tweeted that, didn't he? Like from
Yeah,
last week. Yeah. And I
that's
mean,
so
like, it's like
funny.
the NFL is so predictable. Like, I'm kind of surprised that we haven't seen more screenshots of that from other players.
I know, right? Crazy.
Also, can I touch on one thing that I forgot to earlier?
Go for it.
With the Chiefs, they made sure to go out of their way to put their trust and belief in Josh Gordon, and they're not using him. What was the point of signing a talent like Josh Gordon to then have him sit on the bench? You didn't even use him against the Giants, and you
No,
were
they didn't.
struggling. You were gifted that win because the Giants suck that bad. You beat them by 3 points. You had another interception taken away by a penalty, Mr. Patrick Mahomes, which I couldn't even tell you how many times he's had that happen in his career. But I'm like, why didn't you even bring in Gordon? Like, that dude is an animal. It doesn't matter how long he's been out. Like, why are you not using him? It's too bad. I'm like, he deserved to be able to come back and actually play.
No, yeah. I don't understand why they're not using him, especially with just how the state of the team. I mean,
well,
Tyreek,
and they, even last week they were having issues with Kelsey. Like, I understand that you have your flagship guys in Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelsey. Tyreek Hill almost never struggles. So, I mean, there are some games where it's like, oh, he's getting shut down. But Kelsey wasn't doing anything. So why didn't you try to get someone else involved? Why wouldn't you get Josh Gordon involved? Obviously, they're going to double Tyreek. So why wouldn't you get Josh Gordon there? Like, you can have Kelsey in as well. But I was just
bananas.
Disappointed.
Who's up next? We got that Browns, Falcons, Saints. It's just all right. I'm not getting it.
That's gonna be a tougher game though. Jameis is out for the year now.
Don't start anyone except Kamara. All right, you're starting Kamara.
Yeah.
Kyle Pitts.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Oh, Callaway. Antonio Callaway's been. I'm not gonna. He's been really good this season.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where that ends because that's. I mean, Raiders, Giants. This is interesting. I would not start any Giants really. I don't know if Saquon was apparently supposed to come back this week. Might not. They closed the facilities today. But the Raiders, I would start the shit out of Derek Carr and Zay Jones, who is going to be the replacement.
I believe I picked up Derek Carr. I thought about it. I can't remember if I picked him up in a league where Rodgers was my quarterback and I didn't have a backup.
You gotta go get him.
Yeah, I think I picked him up, even though I don't like him either.
How?
How do you like Derek Carr? I'm gonna say this every single week.
Oh no! After the man is watch him speak.
No.
Oh, I could listen to him talk for hours.
This is the same man who wanted to fight in the octagon against Stephen A. because Stephen A. said he wasn't that good. Okay, I'm gonna bring that up every single time I'm on this show, and people are gonna get irritated.
Fine. That's fine. Bring it. We love the controversy. Controversy creates cash. And that would be definitely something for cash. Derek Carr for Stephen A. I would pay cash for that.
Well, Stephen A. would be kind of a fool probably to get in there.
Oh,
but
I'm such a Derek Carr fan. It's unbelievable.
Oh, okay. Well, I can be the opposite for you.
There we go. Good cop, bad cop. Love it.
Yeah.
I would start him. Josh Jacobs and Kenyon Drake is the running back to roster in Vegas.
I have definitely Josh Jacobs though.
I mean, start him to it's Josh Jacobs. They're kind of trying to do a Cleveland Browns situation.
A tandem thing. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's just not working.
Well, and Kenyon Drake had a pretty good year last year, right? It was last year. Oh, so, yeah. I mean, he was went into free agency pretty hot. So, what he's capable of. It's just obviously he went to a team that had a clear running back one. So,
yeah. Oh, no. That's how it always happens, feels like.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones, no. I'm trying to think of anyone else. Obviously,
absolutely not.
If Darren Waller's back, you do. If not, Moreau's just as good as an option. He isn't Darren Waller, but he definitely will get you, the production, the target share, all that.
What's his name? Stuff. Is it Forrest?
Foster.
Foster. Yeah, no, the one that I said that was super cute and that I shouldn't be saying because he's too young for me. Yeah, that one. I think.
Yeah, we found out.
He's a little cutie. Because I have. Huh? Sure. Well, yeah, I have a thing for tight ends. That's always been like my favorite players. Well, Gronk was is my favorite player, but I've just always liked tight ends, like him and Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham from years ago. Whatever.
Yeah, good.
That and like linebacker / defensive ends have always been like my faves.
All right. Yeah,
Just
I would agree. I love pass
yeah.
rushers.
That would be if I could
Sorry.
play football, that's what I'd want to be. I'm
Oh, I
not
would
built for
absolutely want
it.
to be a linebacker.
Yeah,
Neither
I'm not
way.
built
I'm
for it, but I want to
5'8",
go after the quarterback.
5'9".
That seems like the
Yeah,
most fun.
I would hit the shit out of the quarterback. I would
Yeah.
want to just absolutely hit stick every time.
Yeah, it would be so fun.
Los Angeles Chargers travel to the city of brotherly love to the link to face the Eagles, and the Chargers are favored at 1.5. Okay, I think the
I'm,
Eagles are getting way too much credit here.
I don't
They're
know.
not
I
that
mean,
good of a team. They're
the
not.
Eagles. Okay,
No,
I'm
they're
not
not.
saying the Eagles are great, but look at the way that the Patriots shut down the Chargers last week. I mean, obviously they did only won by 3 points, but they did get a touchdown in garbage time. But still, like, I mean, they can watch tape to figure out kind of like what Belichick did, but
Yeah,
I think the Chargers definitely need a bounce back game. I mean, like
yeah.
the AFC West is kind of crazy right now.
Oh, it's the
Um,
most competitive division.
yeah, and they were at the top of it until now the Raiders are.
Yeah,
But they definitely need to beat a team like the Eagles in order to get their mojo back, really. I mean,
yeah.
they just got killed by the Patriots at home, so
Yeah. So we'll just stay this now. Chargers are starting Eckler, Herbert, Keenan, Mike Williams, Eagles.
Mike Williams is a little iffy for me. He didn't do anything last week, so he dropped
Yeah,
the
but
ball a lot.
that's not like him.
I know that was
Literally does
very
the complete
weird.
opposite of that.
I was like, I'm actually cheering for you, bro, even though I'm a Patriots fan. I was like, I
I
got you
know.
on my team, and then you're not doing anything for me.
Fun fact: Mike Williams is a top 10 draft pick. He was picked 7th, and he's the wide receiver 2 on his team. I think that's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah,
But
it's
he plays like
crazy.
a wide receiver 1. He's been fucking incredible this year.
Yeah,
I want to go on this rant with the Eagles before we get into the Packers Chiefs because I know that's going to be just such a shit show of a game. The Eagles are not that good. They're not. I'm kind of over it. I'm so sick, especially with this being, the Underground Sports Philly having attached to us, and talking to Kyle each week and Eagles. Like, you're not that good of a team. You're not. I'm sorry. I don't give a fuck that you beat the Lions by an arm and a leg.
yeah,
The Lions beat themselves week to week. I mean, they're on a
yeah,
bye this week, and the bye week's favored by 4.5. Like, you're not good, and the defense is struggling. They're not that great of a pass defense. I don't care what the cornerbacks are. Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback, and I think deserves a lot of credit. But Devontae Smith is your only receiver, and your other running backs are Boston Scott and fucking Kenneth Gainwell. You
mm-hmm.
trade away Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert's been good, but they're not a team that should be only underdogs to the Chargers by 1.5 points.
Yeah, that is.
It's
I'm sure
ridiculous.
that's probably recency bias because of the
100%.
Patriots game.
I
So
agree.
their previous games I feel like, are impacting that line.
Slam the over. Slam the Chargers. Slam the over on that. Oh, I can't. That just irks me every week. Is that the Eagles just get this praise? They're not that good of a football team.
Yeah.
Green Bay
Well,
Packers.
I mean,
Chiefs.
I will say you have to remember the Eagles are the same team that put a statue of their backup quarterback and their coach that won a Super Bowl that didn't deserve to win a Super Bowl, who wrote a book on how to win Super Bowls, both of which are no longer there.
It's
Just
incredible. I
just
love
have
Howie
to.
Roseman.
What is a more sad sight than to walk into that stadium and see that statue?
I don't know.
That's
Being a Vikings fan is
embarrassing.
pretty tough too.
And talking about the Philly special, bro, you didn't create that play. You stole it from the Patriots, who had stole it from someone else. Don't even get me started with Philly.
All right. Well, I can't. We're just gonna end that there.
It's because I could go on a whole rant on Philly. I
Me
don't
too.
like Philly.
And I got the problems with the Eagles. That's it. That's the only problem I have.
Yeah,
Because
and the Six. I
good.
also don't like the Sixers, but
I mean, Celtics rivalry makes sense.
yeah.
Packers and Chiefs. We got to talk about this one, even though no Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot wait for this one just because I want to see what Jordan Love does. I really want to see if he gets to the point where they have to bring in Blake Bortles.
I would love for the Packers, the hospital Packers, to be able to beat the Chiefs. like as much as I don't like the Packers and I don't like the Chiefs, at least the Packers are in the NFC and we know Rodgers' record in like the playoffs, so I'm not scared of him at all. But like they are getting Devontae Adams back, so that's good.
That's huge. Yeah.
But again, we don't know the production from Jordan Love or Blake Bortles because Blake Bortles hasn't been playing. He's been a backup, and then he wasn't even on a team. That's why they signed him. But they signed him to the practice squad, so I'm assuming they're going to elevate him. But they lost Tanyan too last week for the year.
Big Pop Tanyan. Yeah.
So they're kind of iffy here. And then of course the Chiefs are the Chiefs. They could have a bounce back game. They're playing at home. I mean, they did just struggle against the Giants, who are not as talented of a team as the Packers, but the Packers, again, like I said, they're the hospital Packers right now.
No. I would stay away from this as much as possible. Obviously, your usual suspects are starting for the Chiefs, and then Aaron Jones and Devontae Adams. Basically,
that's it.
And then this is the other thing. And the next game up, one? It's Rams Titans. Like the Rams are gonna mollywop them.
Yeah. For a second, I was like, wait, no, but yeah. The Rams are just like I feel like they're not unbeatable. Yeah. Because, we've seen them struggle in games this year. Even though they have had a lot more big wins than not. But yeah, no, I mean, given the state of the Titans, I would, Rams all day.
I would agree. I'm starting every Ram, even Van Jefferson, and then just your usual suspects for the Titans, and by that I mean AJ Brown. I would start McNichols this week. I think that even though they're going to struggle and lose and whatnot, they're going to have to move the ball. They're going to have to rely on somebody, and even in the limited role that he's had so far this season, I do believe that he has a chance to be productive against the Rams, being involved in both the run and pass game. He'll be a good PPR option. And honestly, I mean, it's bye weeks. You can justify anyone starting. And I just justified this man going up against Aaron Donald.
And don't forget, I said to pay attention to Adrian Peterson.
Yes.
Don't start him, but watch him.
Totally. Where's the Charger? Yeah, I would agree with that as well. Cardinals, Niners. Before we get into Monday night,
I would say, is that Sunday night? No, that's not. No, okay, that's Sunday afternoon. That's the game I'll be watching because the Cardinals are the home team here, so that's the only game that's on. Although I was contemplating not watching it and watching the Chiefs Packers, but I'm not doing that probably anymore.
No, not anymore. No, no.
I think it's going to be. I mean, it's a tough matchup because it's divisional, but I don't know. I feel like the Cardinals will want to win because they just lost the Packers in a freaky way. AJ Green got put on the COVID list, so he's not going to be there to mess things up. But I don't know. I don't know that who's favorited. What's the line?
It is Arizona 1, so to pick them pretty much.
Oh yeah, that's a tough one because it's divisional.
Yeah,
it's not often that you can very easily pick in a divisional game unless it's the Jets,
No,
that's like the only one. It's like, yeah, the Jets suck, or the Browns when they weren't winning a single game. But divisional games, I don't care what their records are for divisional either team. It's a lot tougher. I don't care who it is.
Yeah, I would go. Yeah, you're starting every Cardinal. I know Kyle. I know Kyler has been, on and off the injury list and potentially not starting. But I see him starting and doing fine.
Yeah, he will.
Debo Samuel should be starting every league. It doesn't matter.
Yes.
Because he's the only one catching the ball.
Yes.
Literally.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. That's why they were saying free Ayuk, and apparently that didn't happen. And I love how every time that they say anything about Ayuk during a game, they always kind of like blame him for they're like, he just needs to show more. And I'm like, he's not getting thrown to. Like, what can he show you? Like, I don't know what is a player supposed to do if you're not looking his way? But
just get open, but I mean, create more
I
space. But I think
yeah,
it's not a him problem. I think
but I
it's a
mean,
Jimmy G
last year
problem.
he was a huge name. This year he's fallen
Yeah.
off the radar. So
Oh yeah, definitely. Then the last game, Steelers Bears Monday night. That's disgusting. I totally agree. Bears Steelers.
I love how I saw someone
I
say something like Big Ben is like 400 pounds. Like, how can you not sack him? And I was like, that is so true. Like,
it's the
how
man
do
is
you let him scramble at all?
rotund. He is rotund.
He
He
is
is
like,
big.
so, like just like a statue. Like, how do you let him move? I love how
I
too,
don't.
like coming into the season, they're like, Big Ben looks great. He looks like he's lost weight. He's like in the best shape
He
ever. I'm like,
did
you've said
though.
that the last 3 years though.
But we do say that every year. We
Yeah,
do.
the
It's
last like
hope.
3 years.
It's
And I'm
hope.
like, no, he's just large. And he's
He's
always
large
been
and in charge.
I don't know about in charge, but
He's in charge of that shit offense that they got right
he's
now.
large and falling on his face a lot.
Would
Um
you start Najee Harris this week? I think he's the only person I
yeah.
could say
Yeah.
start. Deontay Johnson gets double-digit targets, so my rule is if that happens, you start him. And for the Bears, literally no one.
Maybe
Don't do it.
the running back
Montgomery might be coming back, so Herbert.
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
benching.
Yeah, I have Herbert on a couple of my teams, I think. So,
Yeah, I do too.
but
I'm
yeah,
not
another
starting
one to
him.
pay attention to.
Those are the games for the week. The NFL Sunday a 2-minute drill with my favorite segments. Obviously, we're starting with the going the distance player of the week. Going for speed. Who are you going with as your long shot champ this week? And by champ, I
Ooh,
mean pick.
I
But it could
haven't
be a
thought of
game. It could be a game. It could be a player. This is where it's not like the waiver wire episodes where it's that list. Specifically, it can be anyone.
I feel like we talked about I would say games because I haven't looked into players.
Yep.
I feel like tonight's game could be better than people expect. What was the other? Oh, also like yeah, we were just talking about it. The Cardinals Niners, that might be a much better game than what you think. But especially tonight. I haven't even watched it. I know it's been on for like 10 minutes or something, but
Yeah, Darius Leonard
I
did something.
I think that they he did something. Yeah, I would say even like yeah, Thursday night's game
All
is
right.
probably going to be better than people anticipate.
My
Oh my
long
gosh,
shot, I think Jordan Love.
I have to
What?
say one thing. I'm watching the
Okay.
Boston broadcast of this of the Celtics game.
Yeah.
And I always love the commercials because it's Boston commercials because it's on NBC Sports
It's
Boston.
incredible. Yeah.
And they just had a commercial for Stop and Shop, and it just made me sentimental.
I love Stop and Shop. That's where I got dinner the other night.
Well, aren't you
Made it,
just
cooked
so
it.
lucky that you live
Ah,
over there?
I live in the
Meanwhile,
heart
I
of.
shop at Safeway.
That does not sound like a grocery store.
It
That sounds like
is.
here's your house.
Yeah, no, but it's a grocery store. It's not as
I'm
fun
going
as.
long shot.
Go ahead.
I'm going my long shot is Jordan Love. I think that he has at least a
Mm.
decent game against the Chiefs.
Yeah.
And then because to wrap up quickly, what is the safe play of the week? The safety pick. Who is your safe play this week?
Who was I excited about? You pick yours first. Hold on. I'm like it's on the tip of my tongue. I'm like
I am going with my safe play of the week. I really think it's Gabriel Davis. I think he catches a touchdown against the Jags. Emmanuel Sanders has been, MIA a little bit. I think Gabriel Davis comes out and Josh Allen targets him, and then he'll be someone that everyone's claiming off waivers.
For some reason, I can't think of one off the top of my head because the one that I want to talk about, I can't think of who it is. So, there's lots of safe players you can play this week. So play them all.
There you go. And if you think of it, you'll tweet it out, and
Oh yeah,
we'll retweet it. And where you guys can find that is by following Sara Marshall on Twitter at SMarshSXO. Follow me at Pat_Pitts and follow Fourth and Goals, this Twitter account as well, at Fourth and Goal USP. Follow our boys down in Philadelphia who give us the platform to talk about whatever we want, whenever we want. Underground Sports Philadelphia on Twitter and Instagram at Underground PHI. And go check out their Twitch stream channel at twitch.tv/Underground Sports PHI. We'll be back on Monday. We got the waiver wire episode coming at you, and we may even be on Sunday. Who knows? We got a lot of stuff in the works. You guys just be ready, following, and excited for it. Thank you for tuning into this edition of Fourth and Goal. God bless, and remember that you can do it. All you got to do is try. We will see you. We'll see you when we see you. Is it off?